When we were moving into our first house, my mother-in-law bought it for us. And your Bishop Kakra here was year out of architecture school. And then he was asked by Bishop to help us. We moved into an uncompleted house. When we moved, the ground was red sand. The windows were plywood, so you can't see because it's dark. And then when I was cooking, I had a 2-burner, no, it's a 4-burner stove, but only 2 work. And whenever I opened the window to get a little light, the wind would also come and blow the fire. But I was so content that, hey, only a few years of marriage, and we live in a house of our own. What shall I render to you, my God, for all your benefits? But recently, sometimes some people will come and say, Lady Reverend, I would like to come and dedicate my house. But you see, I've been telling my husband, the tiles, he has tiled only 2 bedrooms. He says that where the children and I will be. But I mean, you have to tile everywhere. How can you be walking in sand? And I said, oh, really? When I moved, there were no windows. There were no tiles. And we did it little by little. And even up to today, my son said to me, he asked for that house, every day small construction before it was finished. And I said to the every day small construction, what do you have? After all is said and done, what do you have? But God taught us, and I learned in all things, to be content and to be thankful that God, what is this that you have done? Because when I look, everybody is renting. When I look, everybody has a landlord. When I look, everybody has advance or the salaries, the rent is being changed. But Lord, here I am in my sand-filled floor, but still for us. To God be all the glory. He says, I know how to be abased, and I know how to be lifted. Some of us, we feel that if I'm lifted, it should be lifting throughout. But Jesus said, if you go somewhere, go and sit in the lowly places and let them call you up to the important place. But most of you will go to the important place and they'll say, oh, please, it's not there, it's at the back. Paul said, I've learned to be abased. We must learn the places where you just humble yourself. It doesn't matter. Your worth is not measured by where you sit. Your worth is not measured by whether people see you as whatever. God has already paid the price. And you are already what you are by the grace of God. Amen. Paul said, I am what I am by the grace of God. But you come to church, you say, when I spoke to this person, he says that his child is in SOS. So me too, my child should be in SOS. Meanwhile, the fees for your husband is like blood transfusion. And you still want to push him. But you have to come to that place where you can say, I have learned in whatsoever state to be content. When the church was growing, when the church started, it could not afford hotel bills. So every single minister stayed in my house with me. Every single minister. Whether you were coming from Switzerland, whether you were coming from Reverend Adeboye, everybody stayed in my guest room. And I said, oh God, what a privilege. What can I do to make them comfortable? What can I do so that when they are going to preach, they don't feel intimidated and not happy? Reverend Musa Sono, they have all stayed in my house. And I used to host all of them and get people to pick them from home to the services. Today, Lighthouse Chapel can afford to put them in hotels. But it didn't start that way. So when you also come into the ministry, say, in ministry, you put guests in hotels. Oh, you are looking at us 20-something years after. But some years before, that's not where we were at. But because you don't know how to be abased and you don't know how to be exalted, it has become a problem. And God cannot take you where he wants to take you. Amen.